Thursday, January 2nd, 2020. I'm Yael Avi, and these are the Cryptosphere's top stories for today. According to Whale Alert, a huge amount of XRP is released. Part of it goes to Ripple's co-founder, and everyone in the sphere has something to say about it. It is the new year, and new crypto regulations are in place for both Europe and Asia. How are exchanges dealing with them? And finally, the US-China trade war is marking 2 years. A closer look at what its next phase means for the world markets. Starting off with Ripple, the blockchain payment network tied to the altcoin XRP began 2020 by releasing funds from its escrow, as it does every month. But data scanned from the XRP blockchain by monitoring resource Whale Alert caught the latest consignment of XRP tokens, and it appears a large sum of them moved through Ripple founder and former CEO Chris Larson's wallet, raising many assumptions from around the sphere and a lot of tweets, of course. With more on this, I am joined in studio by none other than BLOCKTV senior correspondent Usher Westropp-Evans. Usher, how much are we talking about when it comes to the amount that was moved, and what does it all mean?
Okay, so the amount that's moved, as you stated there, the standard 1 billion XRP that are released every month, that's just now at current values just below $200 million. But then that additional 256 million that was moved into the wallet that is believed to be held either by Ripple as a whole, or many believe by Chris Larson specifically. He's the sole owner of that wallet. 256 million Ripple moved into his account, worth approximately 39 million at the moment. Now, Yael, people, as you stated, are very upset by this, as it's differed from previous times.
But people love being upset with XRP. Okay.
Certainly people love being upset with XRP, but even those within the XRP community are a bit upset at this one because it breaks from the standard deviation that has been happening up until now, where Ripple has been putting that XRP back in escrow and not flooding more into a market that's in a very bearish state. Right. And for more on that, we spoke recently with Matt Hamilton, an XRP expert, to talk about how Ripple runs that.
So what they've done is they voluntarily locked up the majority of their XRP into escrow contracts. These are cryptographic escrow contracts maintained by the blockchain in a similar way to smart contracts and hash time locks, for example, on various other blockchains. And these escrow contracts release a certain amount, so 1 billion every month. Now, Ripple have actually put the majority of that back into a further escrow contract at the end of the queue. So they've got a rolling queue of contracts that expire as time goes on. And the last 2 months, they've put it all back. So they're not releasing any of it into the market.
Now, new anti-money laundering regulations in Europe are coming into effect by January 10th, which is just a little over a week away. And on the other side of the globe, China has formally implemented a law governing cryptographic password management as part of its pre-release plans for its central bank digital currency known as CBDC. Ron Spitzer has all that in the following story.
China just implemented a law governing cryptographic password management as part of its preparations for its central bank digital currency. The law divides passwords into 3 categories: passwords, common passwords, and commercial passwords. The Chinese government will strictly regulate core and plain passwords and committed to nurturing industry in the area of commercial passwords. Although there is no set date for the release of China's CBDC, this aims to ease China's transition to blockchain technology. It's clear that regulators have become more stringent when regarding crypto in the law. January 10th, 2020 is a crucial date for all crypto service providers operating in the European Union. This deadline is when EU member states will shift over to the 5th Anti-Money Laundering Directive, aka 5-AMLD, and when crypto exchanges and custodial wallet providers across the EU will be obligated to comply with anti-money laundering requirements for the first time. These service providers will have to conduct Know Your Customer checks, monitor transactions, and file suspicious activity reports with law enforcement. If these standards are not met, the repercussions include fines and penalties, or even businesses shutting down. Ron Spitzer, BLOCKTV.
And Ron Spitzer joins us now in studio. All fine and well for Europe and China moving in their own way forward. What about the United States when it comes to regulation?
Right. So whereas it seems that the EU and China are preparing for themselves and for their own development, it seems that the US is actually planning for Libra, or that seems how these bills are drafted. So this first bill here, Keep Big Tech Out of Finance Act, was proposed mid-July, so kind of in the midst of it all, kind of trying to break up what these tech companies can do in the realm of financial institutions. Right. This defines these online platforms as anything, as any platform service with at least $25 billion in annual revenue. So, I mean, kind of specific to Libra in that sense. And then on October 18th, also draft bill, U.S. Congress published Stablecoins Are Securities Act, again, meant to kind of deal with that
Libra.
issue again, which if passed into law would make these security tokens or stablecoins rather apply to stock and bonds in the same way, treating them. So they have to vote on that in the future, and we'll see what happens with that. Have they scared Libra? No, but again, moving forward with development in that sense.
Entirely so. Thank you for that update, Ron Spitzer. As we reported yesterday, the Ethereum network experienced an attack this week that threatened to cause significant downtime to it and then some. Beginning on December 30th, an attacker sent invalid blocks to the network, causing node operators using the parity client to lose sync with the network. But due to the decentralized nature of the blockchain and ETH client diversity, it was fixed within hours, according to them. Our very own Jona Hochhauser spoke with ETH community software developer Liam Aaron, who sees it all as a positive thing. Here's what he had to say.
If an attack like this happened to a client like Geth, the effect would obviously be much larger. Obviously, Ethereum would not go down completely because Ethereum has multiple client node implementations running. So yeah, like bugs like this are not unique to Ethereum, and they can affect any blockchain really. Like even Bitcoin, who are notorious for having a stable code base, they've had several emergency upgrades to address critical bugs in the past. So it is definitely something that could happen. And if a similar attack did affect Geth, then I'm sure that the community would patch it quite quickly. And in the meantime, things would still continue running along just fine because there is this client diversity.
Moving along now, 2 years since it began, the US-China trade war remains one of the biggest causes of uncertainty and sleepless nights for investors worldwide as they try to navigate an environment of slowing growth and increasingly volatile markets. Now, though China and the United States are due to sign their Phase 1 trade deal this month, there's still a risk of this dispute flaring up again and leading to tariffs being reimposed on imports and all of us going crazy. But before we expand on that, here is Asha Westrup-Evans' report on how it all began.
US President Donald Trump has had something on his mind.
China! China, 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 China. I go to China.
Despite claims that trade wars are good and easy to win, as the battle between global behemoths enters its second year, tensions are taking their toll. Both countries have seen the trend in global GDP slowdown exacerbated, combined with an overall slowdown in trade volume as tariffs piled up. Despite these shaky numbers, Trump has remained steadfast.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning.
Generally.
Any second thoughts on escalating the trade war with China?
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
With potential deals now on the table, 2020 may be the year to end the trade war. Or it could be just the beginning of a long road ahead. Asha Westrup-Evans for BLOCKTV.
So, Asher, the trade deals Phase 1 is due to be signed this month.
Yeah.
What will it do?
So January 15th is the supposed date. A high-level delegation from China will come to Washington in order to sign there with the officials from the Trump administration, although notably not Xi Jinping himself. But supposedly this will be the first step in sort of easing back some of the tariff regimen. China has also agreed to buy more U.S. agricultural products. Again, it's supposed to be if we can get to yes on this point, then theoretically down the line we can get to yes on other things, although the main points that the Trump administration has addressed regarding stealing of IP, requiring the massive trade disbalance deficit that still exists. None of these issues have been addressed substantially yet, and won't be so in this phase one deal.
And regardless of, before we go to the second question, I think the effect that the trade war had on world markets has been humongous, hasn't it?
Certainly. It's had a huge impact in slowing down a global economy that is already beginning to see a shrinkage as it occurred. Always with these things, it's hard to tell what is direct impacts from the trade war, what would have happened anyway, but certainly it hasn't boosted business confidence and certainty, which is seen as a marker of some negative developments in this
Finally,
space.
last question, needless to say, because we all care about what this means for us. Volatility is something that this trade war caused. What does it do for Bitcoin, a volatile asset to begin with?
Well, look, yeah, that's an interesting one. 2018 was one of the least volatile years for stock markets on record. The same could not be said for 2019, which responded directly. I mean, again, to say correlation, causation, it's hard to say, but the correlation between announcements coming from the Trump administration or China on the trade war and what occurred in markets was so tied that volatility just really impacted global markets, shook confidence, and drove a lot of people into the loving arms of cryptocurrencies.
Asher Evans, thank you for that report.
Pleasure.
Now, never mind trade wars. We want to get our minds off the perils of the effects of those wars and what might be in store in the new decade. Therefore, here's Zaki Hennessy with anything and everything that he ever wanted to know about January's GameSphere.
That's right, Yael. Blockchain gaming fans will be excited to hear that one of the most anticipated blockchain-based titles is going to be released this month. The free-to-play cyberpunk RPG Neon District is set to release its first season on the 27th, and it boasts both procedural and story-driven missions, some deep lore, and, quote, rich trading card game battle mechanics, which is no surprise considering the success of recent card-based games like Slay the Spire. Now, if you just can't wait to get your hands on some cyberpunk action, you can read the complete Season 1 novella now. Apparently, there's even a secret puzzle in the book that may provide some goodies in-game. And if you can wait to get your hands on some cyberpunk action, the inarguably much better Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out in like 2 months, so just wait.
Oh, phenomenal. I mean, I'll be dead in 2077, but I'm sure you're looking forward to that. Thank you, Zachary. Yes, that was Around the Block for today. Thank you for watching. For more blockchain tech, cryptocurrency news, visit us all at www.blocktv.com and have a great day.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.